Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a major miniature project. That's what I'd call it. You know the composer, and because here we are in December and it's the holiday season, let's have a little bit of appropriateness. Yes, it's our own wonderful Leroy Anderson, his complete orchestral works, gathered together and recorded for the first time ever on Naxos. Now, this series has been out for a little bit, and it's just recently been boxed up. And I really need to talk a little bit about Leroy Anderson. I've done a video talking about him already, but I just adore his music. There are so many admirable qualities that he had. First of all, he was a superbly trained composer. I mean, a real pro. His composition teachers were Walter Piston and George Enescu. He was a very, very sharp guy. I mean, he graduated magna cum laude from Harvard. I mean, that doesn't mean you're going to be a great composer. But one of the things that is so admirable, about him, aside from the fact that he lived in New Haven when I was there, and so did I, it was the fact that he knew what he could do, and he did it superbly. And he never stepped outside of his fach. And that takes tremendous self-awareness and discipline and humility. And you kind of know that when a composer, especially a composer of light music, can write gems one after another, like he did, that you're in very, very good shape. Now, Anderson did not live to be that old. His years were 1908 to 1975. So, I mean, figure it out. He lived to be about 67. And that's really not that old, especially for 20th century composers. I did, however, have the privilege of speaking to his wife, who outlived him by quite a bit of time. Her years were 1918 to 2014. And when this series started coming out, I did some very positive reviews of it on ClassicsToday.com, and I've always had good things to say about Anderson, and she wrote to me, and it was quite delightful to have the opportunity to correspond with her. So, it's another reason why I kind of have a warm, snuggly feeling about Leroy Anderson. But really, this is just amazing music. It's so, so beautifully done. It really is. I mean, it's Webernesque in its immaculate precision. And it has better tunes. Let's not kid ourselves. So let's just take a look and see what's in here, because his complete works have never been presented before, and they fill up 5 rather decently filled CDs. These are all with Leonard Slatkin and the BBC Concert Orchestra. And Slatkin is an Anderson guy. I mean, he recorded a wonderful Anderson collection in St. Louis, which was on RCA. It's in his American Music box. And he's no less effective in the rest of this music. It's just I keep dropping things. Here we go. Okay, so Volume 1. Now, I've got some little samples to play you too that you're really going to get a kick out of them. There's some amazing stuff in here. Volume 1 has got, we all know what his most famous pieces were. The sleigh ride that I just played some of, and then there's the syncopated clock, which we're going to hear a bit of, and Bugler's Holiday, and the typewriter. I played the typewriter. That was one of my miniature masterpieces. But one of the things that he never, ever allowed to be published for some reason was his piano concerto. It's his only major large work. in large forms. And it's delightful. It's absolutely delightful. It's kind of like Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony meets Gershwin with a certain Latin edge to it. It's just fabulous. And the finale is this wild little hoedown that's absolutely one of the catchiest things you've ever heard in your life. And here a little bit of it is. This is with, let's see, who's played the piano? Jeffrey Beagle. It's just a terrific performance. Tell me you don't want to hear the whole thing. Well, if you don't tell me because I don't want to know. It's a wonderful, wonderful work, fabulously performed here. So this is great, but there are so many little pieces that you probably don't know. One of the most entertaining of them is called Classical Jukebox. Now, the Classical Jukebox is a combination of Wagner and Liszt and other major composers with an overlay of the tune Put Another Nickel in the Nickelodeon. You know that tune? Put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is loving you and music, music, music. Right? You know that tune? Well, that's the tune. And so we get some fairly literal quotations from the great masters, on top of which that tune gets superimposed. It's extremely well done and very funny, and nobody knows it. But, Anderson had a great sense of humor. He had real wit, a wonderful, wonderful, witty sense of sound, of timbre. And here's a little bit of the Classical Jukebox. Great stuff. And all of this is on volume 1, by the way. Now, on volume 2, we get, let's see, Song of the Bells, Jazz Pizzicato, The Girl in Satin, some of the more popular pieces, A Harvard Festival, which is a kind of sort of his version of Brahms's Academic Festival Overture, kind of a grandiose work. And then the Suite of Carols for String Orchestra, which actually he arranged 450 different ways, and all of them are here. It's kind of like Granger's Shepherd's Hey, Molly on the Shore, Handel in the Strand. You get them every which way. Then we get Harvard Sketches. There are a whole bunch of little Harvard pieces in here. Harvard should be very happy about this. And the Penny Whistle Song and the Phantom Regiment and Plink, Plank, Plonk. We all know that one. And his Serenata, which is gorgeous. And his arrangement of 76 trombones. And let's see, the Suite of Carols. We had that again for brass choir this time. And the Typewriter, yay! And of course, his most famous piece, possibly his most famous piece after the typewriter, the syncopated clock. Let's hear a little bit of that one too. You know, Anderson is one of those composers who most people know the tunes. They don't always know who wrote them. That's one of the reasons I wanted to just take a moment and play a couple of the more popular ones too, because yes, this is the guy who wrote that tune that you've known all your life, only you may not know who wrote it. And then the last two volumes include some of his larger suite type works. There's an Irish suite, and there's a Scottish suite, and there's the Christmas Festival, and there's, let's see, the Alma Mater suite. These are little bits of miniatures. They're all wonderful. They have great tunes. There are some vocal arrangements of some of his more popular numbers. Let me see which ones here. We have here The Belle of the Ball and Forgotten Dreams. And then the last disc contains excerpts from his only musical. He wrote a Broadway musical, Goldilocks. And we have Kim Criswell and William Daisley singing numbers from that. And then we get the woodwind version of the Suite of Carols. And it's really, really quite the wonderful little 5-disc package. I mean, they're all available separately. You can get whichever ones you want. I mean, if you wanted to get a selection, I would say definitely get volume 1 and probably volume 3. Because there you get the typewriter and the syncopated clock. But really, it's all worth having. It's not expensive. It's top quality. You're not going to have any of this music done better. Even Anderson didn't do it better. And he made wonderful recordings of a lot of his music. And some of it's still available. But I just think this is an incredible collection, an important collection if you believe, as I do, that there is only good music and bad music. And good music is good music is good music. And it deserves just as much care and love and affection and respect as the most abstruse, polyphonic, dodecaphonic contraption by the darling of the academic set. I mean, Anderson was not a darling of the academic set, but his academic credentials, his pedigree, was such as to make most members of the academic set bow their heads in shame. And look at what he did with his talent. He did exactly what he could do best. And for that, I take my hat off to him. He was a terrific composer. And this set belongs in everybody's collection. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.